and pre-DreamHack Summer, both Orange and Powder actually just took like full week off and was like, let's play some Hearthstone.
Yep.
Let's work on the lineups. They took 1 week to completely like hammer it out, and it worked. So I expect nothing less from them in this tournament. Looking forward to seeing what they bring, because they do really, really go hard in even like, cards in decks, not just whether we bring this deck. It's like, what about this card? What about this card? They were putting Sea Giants in the Evolved Shaman, for example.
Yep, they were one of the first teams to do that, one of the first areas that really came out of. But I know Orange actually streamed a great deal of his preparation process for this tournament, which is somewhat unprecedented, just to be able to get like a look into what goes into a player's mind as they're preparing for a tournament. I didn't get a chance to catch it, but Lorinda, I think, watched all of it and said that it was a really, really like enlightening process to really watch play out. So you can see Orange, as well as being a hard worker himself, he's not afraid to kind of share these tools with the community and really push Hearthstone forward as a whole.
Yeah, he's been so focused lately. I know there was a point last year where he dipped, and he pretty much hands held high. He's just said, well, I just wasn't trying hard enough. I wasn't taking it seriously enough. Maybe partying a bit too hard, etc.
Yeah.
But now he's like, actually, I've just cut most of that out. I've actually sorted it out, sorted a practice schedule, and know how I want to improve. And then as soon as he did that, he started performing well in tournaments. Is the hair bothering you?
Yeah, Orange.
I thought it would be.
Orange just looks sad when he hasn't styled his hair yet today. Like it looks like his hair's just given up on life.
It's just an extension of his emotions.
Hey, I managed to get through the entire Evangelion series without talking about hair. Are you proud of me?
Yeah, a little bit. We'll get there. We'll get there.
All right.
Going to first game, though, Orange on the Jade Druid. You can tell where those Jade Blossoms in hand there. And Den on the Mage. And at the moment, we can see a Medivh in the hand, so imagine a style of Gunter Mage, but we've been seeing some funky lists recently, so pretty much anything could be in this Mage deck. Yeah,
Mage has really entered that kind of spectrum territory where Paladin exists, where you can almost mix and match between any of the archetypes by just pulling over a few tech cards from each of them. Mage has really started hybridizing between the Freeze Mage, the Gunter Mage. Secret Mage even has started to hybridize with Gunter Mage by throwing a Medivh in there as well and all this kind of stuff. So really, really interesting to see this arms race developing as players still this deep into a metagame are still trying to discover that best Mage deck, the deck that's going to give them that little percentage edge over the rest of the field.
Yes, at the moment, Orange, not a terrible opening hand. Jade Blossom makes up for the fact that there's no wild growth to a certain extent, and the Jade Idol even helping a little bit with that, which means, just those Jades get going that little bit quicker. And Mage actually struggles to deal with a Jade board as well, outside of Frostnova Doomsayer.
Yeah.
And we can see double Frostnova in the hand here from Den, so it looks like he's going for the, the Freeze Gunter style overall, which is probably the most popular one at the moment, I would say.
Yeah, since Zump really impressed a lot of people with his run through DreamHack Summer, it was, as we were just talking about. A lot of people really switched over to that deck, basically Freeze Mage with Mana Worm and Firelands Portal, although we did see the Medivh from Den as well, which opens things up a little bit more. But crucially, this Acolyte hitting the board against the 1/1 Jade is a big, big win for Den, as it's going to allow him to farm through his deck very efficiently, pick up all those answers he needs, crucially try and find himself a very, very quick Alexstrasza win condition, because you're not going to win an exhaustion game against Orange's Jade Druid. You're not going to win an exhaustion game against any Jade Druid unless they really, really brick hard, don't hit the Nourish, don't hit the Gadgetzan Auctioneer, and you end up just running them dry in terms of resources in hand.
Yeah. Still, this is going to be a tough one. There is just Stall, so there is the Frostnova's Doomsayer in hand now for Den. Double Fireball on the Medivh, now the double Frostbolt, so a lot of damage. I wonder how early as Den now you just go. Do you even wait for Alex?
I mean, if you are not getting 15 damage out of your Alexstrasza or something close to that, you're just not ever beating Earthen Scales, Feral Rage, that kind of thing in this matchup, right? It's just not happening.
I just wonder how fast you can do it. It's a tough one. Because a lot of the time, Druids can be a little bit dry on cards when it comes to turn 5, 6, 7.
Sure.
So that there could be, depending on what the hand looks like. I mean, there's 18 damage plus pings plus a glyph in hand at the moment over the course of turns, of course. And you just wonder how, how fast you can go. I do agree that it is a massive stretch. Your hand would have to be ludicrously insane. But
yeah, because at that point, like, they nail like one Feral Rage or one Earthen Scales for like 6+ armor. You've already committed the vast majority of your burn at that point.
Yeah,
like,
how do you catch up,
You've just
right?
got Firelands Portals left, and then you draw Alexstrasza, and Alexstrasza doesn't do any damage because they're now at, what, 13 health plus 10 armor or whatever they end up at. And you just end up losing damage over time from your deck by doing it that way. But I do agree with you in the standard plan of draw cards, draw cards, draw cards, Alex them, then burn them out. That doesn't work against Jade Druid.
Exactly,
right? So
yeah.
you have to find a better plan. It's just that often the better plan is curving Mana Worm into Arcanologist and just getting some chip damage through.
Because now, how many turns does Den even have to draw Alex Straz at this point? You know, he's getting heavily pressured on the board. There are now 2 Earthen Scales in hand.
Sorry, I just saw an alert pop up on the screen. One of these players has a friend called Yo-Yo Joan.
You're instantly interested,
I want to meet that person.
God.
Perhaps take her out to dinner.
What would the wife say, Saul?
I think she'd understand.
God. So there's an announcement for everyone listening. If you want Saul to take you out to dinner, just change your battle tag to Yo-Yo something. Logs in tomorrow. Oh, who's this? Yo-Yo Raven. buy me dinner, Saul.
Finally, do you like me?
No. It's fine now. Ooh, now second Doomsayer.
And Doomsayer's landing is actually fairly common against Druid. It's usually a combination of 2 different spells. If you're able to Frost Nova Doomsayer, there has to be a Swipe plus Wrath, or like Fandral Wrath, or Feral Rage Wrath, like some combination of those kinds of cards. So Frost Nova Doomsayer can actually get you a good reset in quite a few situations.
Primordial Drake, Wrath, Innovate Wrath.
That'll do it.
Naturalize.
Juicy
one card combo. Now this is just looking worse and worse for Den, though. This Gadget Zan with the double Earthen Scale starts to make things go a little bit funky.
I love this so much. I think Orange at this point is getting a read that Den is playing a freeze style of deck, as he just saw the Frost Nova come down. So now he wants to stop Flame Strike. He wants to stop Blizzard. He wants to stop Frost Nova #2 plus Doomsayer coming down. Well, the best way to do that is just drop an Auctioneer on the board, because none of those things will kill the Auctioneer at this point, and then he'll just get a full second turn of Auctioneer out of this. This is a great 2-turn setup from Orange.
What do you think about the Earthen Scales, though?
I mean, he gained 12. 12 is a big number.
I mean, you could have just shuffled Jades.
Well, I think
and then it dies to Fireball.
Right.
Would be my worry.
Yeah, he just wanted to play around the potential of Primordial Glyph silliness, doing anything to be able to do that 1 extra point to the Auctioneer, I think is the thinking there. Den going in deep with the double Doomsayer here, really trying to set up that empty board Medivh, which will be a big win for him, because the Gluttonous Ooze is going to deny his Atiesh value, but if he can just get a full 7-7 ahead of the play right now, that's actually a big way he can start chipping through some of this armor. Yeah. That was a great play from Orange on the previous turn to try and protect his Auctioneer. Den just had the answer with the Shatter taking care of the Auctioneer, but then he responded with a great play of his own, doubling up on the Doomsayer to guarantee this Medivh was going to land empty board. This is a great opening match to this series.
Yeah, and suddenly 7 damage removes most of the armor, and then there is still 2 Fireballs, a Frostbolt, now a Mana Worm. This could start stacking up a lot for Orange to deal with, but the Ooze combined with Drake, and even Jade Behemoth means that there's actually still a lot of juice for Orange, and he can actually pretty much just go toe-to-toe, not so much in raw damage, but he can present a big minion board versus Den's spell damage that's available. And there's still got to imagine at least 1 Feral Rage knocking around in this deck for Orange.
Yeah, that is a second Jade Idol in hand for Orange, so there are shuffle considerations, not for the conventional reasons that you actually want to go infinite Jades and get up to 12, 12, 13, 13, whatever. You know, that's like a Taunt Warrior kind of thing. But being able to fill your deck with 1 mana cards is actually very useful once you get to second Auctioneer, potentially, because then you can really cycle through your deck very quickly and pick up all those resources that you need. And yeah, Orange is just going to wait it out here, give himself that little bit of extra time. He needs to decide what he wants to do with that Jade Idol, or just hold on to it for a potential Nourish or Gadgetzan Auctioneer play.
Now Fireball's going into the minions. Imagine... Okay.
Interesting. He could have turned that second Fireball into 7 damage there by just fireballing out the,
I thought
3/6, but he chose to go with the Frostbolt instead. He couldn't have played all 3 because he's not yet at 10 mana. So this works out as a pretty effective board clear, but he now is threatened to lose his 7/4 to just swipe at this point.
Yeah, because if he'd done it the other way, he leaves the Ooze up, but then the Ooze has to choose between the Mana Worm and the Medivh, right? If so there's a swipe.
Crucially, yeah, if swipe is coming down, then if you fireballed the 3/6 and just push face to remove away some of the armor, then if Swipe comes down, your Medivh ends up killing that Ooze anyway, because the Ooze has to go into the 7/7 and then you have to connect.
Ooh. Okay, so Fireball trade. Keeps the Medivh. And then there's an Alex follow-up.
Yeah, the second Primordial Drake could end up being backbreaking here because Den has just fired all of his burn at minions at this point. So he's going to try and preserve a larger health threat on the board, try and get a bigger minion to connect. A 2-health minion being preserved on the board could be removed, and then Den wouldn't be threatening to push minion damage this turn. So I think I like this decision. This holds back a Fireball in hand for burst damage as well, but Orange can just immediately reload this board. Primordial Drake, Innovate, Jade Spirit even just puts so much power into play to contest this Alex Strasser.
Yeah, also you got to think as well that, like, what damage is even left in the deck for Den? Like a Pyro?
Firelands.
Yeah.
Maybe not even like a guarantee. Like there is a Medivh in what otherwise seems to be a pretty core Freeze Mage deck. We haven't seen Mana Worms or Firelands.
Yeah, we saw Mana Worm.
We did see. Oh yeah, we did.
Yeah.
We did see a Mana Worm. So it's something along the lines of that hybrid Zump list that we have been talking about. But the Medivh is an interesting addition as well.
Yeah, see if we can even draw it fast enough. Valet's not terrible. It's just this Alex dies, and then you're just never keeping up with the Jades after this.
Right.
Pretty much exactly what Jade Druid does. Just gets that, just survives long enough, and then the Jades become too big and get too much value to be able to be dealt with.
Jade Druid has got a colossal buff for this tournament.
Yeah.
For multiple reasons. Well, for one reason, but it's a multiple faceted reason when it occurs to Jade Druid, because Quest Rogue was perhaps Jade Druid's worst matchup overall. So Quest Rogue probably being eliminated from the tournament with the nerf is a huge win. But then also the trickle-down effect of Quest Rogue being nerfed is that more people feel comfortable playing control decks. And then you just jam your Jade Druid into their control decks and you are looking in really, really good shape.
I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Jade Druid as quite a high ban in this tournament.
It would not surprise me either.
Gadget's no way to actually deal with the Alex Strasser, so I wonder if we see the shuffle first to try and get a Wrath or a Swipe.
Well, the problem is, if you shuffle, you're diluting your deck by 3 more cards, and you don't have enough mana if you were to draw Jade Idols to play more than 1 more of them and then actually be able to Wrath on the same turn. So it's not quite as simple as that. I'd expect to see the summon because, yeah, the shuffle doesn't actually increase your chances of hitting a playable Wrath this turn, right? Like, sure, you can hit more Jade Idols and cycle through, but it has to be off the first Jade Idol that you draw the Wrath for it to be able to be playable.
Yeah. I was going to say, you do draw the card before the shuffle happens.
Yeah.
But yeah, then all the draws after that will be included. Double Feral Rage, frankly, can just be used as burst if he really wants it at this point to finish off post-Ice Block. Okay, so trades can happen, but how long can Den actually trade for? He's going to ignore the Jade. Just say, okay, let's do this.
Oh.
Wow. Do you just face tank the Alex Strasser?
Has Orange drawn a single Wrath or Swipe yet this game?
No.
That's insane.
I think he started with Swipe in his hand, but he threw it away.
Okay.
He is running Swipe. I wouldn't even mind Fandral Feral Spirit tank the Alex Strasser because it does 0 damage effectively because the Fandral.
I hear you, but it does do 8, right? Like, it's 8 armor that you're not gaining to get out of range of any burn plan.
I guess. I don't know. I would have liked an 8/8 on the board and not trade it into an 8/2.
I mean, I think, like, okay, like, Fireball has been thrown at a minion. Second Fireball has been thrown at a minion. Firelands Portal was thrown at a minion. A Frostbolt was thrown at a minion. Do you have to pop the block ever? Can you just heal for 16 at this point and then just never die?
Well, yeah, I guess. So the Jade Blossom makes this a little bit easier. But for, look, imagine this happened and there's no Jade Blossom in hand. And suddenly you might start falling behind.
Sure.
Because that's my worry. Whereas you just kill Alex Strasser, you go sort of neutral on damage. And because of all those burn spells have already gone to minions, you're on like 17 health, was it? Like, you're probably not going to die next turn, then you have another Feral Rage the turn after.
Right.
Like, you know, I think it probably would have been fine. There's a Rat, though, from Orange. But now he's facing down a bit of a scary board, to be honest. The Jade is, what, 10-10, 9-9?
I think it's that big. It was because it was an 8/8, right? That traded into the Alex. The next one's 9-9.
Right, sure, 9-9, yeah. Okay, there's the swipe. Here come all the removal
Here comes
cards.
every removal spell in Orange's deck, yeah. It's going to go Jade Blossom, Wrath, the Mana Worm, use this 9/9 now to contest the 5/6. That's 7 more damage that can be pushed, but Orange is at 27, and there's what, probably only a potential Pyroblast left in the deck now as damage from hand?
And 1 Glyph, I believe.
Okay.
As an optional damage, I guess, or potential damage.
So Den snaps the Blizzard. He understands this Draconid Operative has to connect multiple times to be able to end this game. Wrath would be the best draw for Orange. Yogg is not bad either.
Yogg him? Nah, I think you can Nourish first.
Really? How do you kill a 5/6 after you Nourish?
Nah, just don't worry about it.
That 5... all right.
Wow.
I mean, that's better than the alternative.
Okay. That Silver Moon Portal looked nuts for a second there. Pyros? Oh, no. Okay, okay.
Just nails a Cthulhu.
Just legendaries. Oh! Okay.
No.
Rampage.
Oh, God.
Oh, spectator, move the mouse. There, good job. That was really quick. Okay, so there's actually 8.
It's just an 8/1 that gets to connect.
Operative. And this Volk potion can actually just clear the whole board if you really wanted to.
I wonder if playing Arcanologist is even necessarily correct there. I'm not sure how many cards Den has left. It does get an extra 2/3 in play that like continues to contest the board, but it pulls him 1 card closer to Fatigue, which might be Orange's win condition at this point, to just try and outlast the remaining Pyroblast and then kill Den on Fatigue.
Huh. Pyros is going to give Orange some nice value as well.
It is. Not sure how important that ends up being. I think this game is pretty linear at this point as to whether Den can find the damage to push through, because all of his minion presence is gone. Alexstrasza is gone, Medivh is gone, both Firelands portals are gone. That's all of the big minions in Den's deck at this point, unless there's a cheeky Antonidas to come out later on.
Yeah, a shake of the head from Den there. I agree with this. I agree with this misplay. In that, well, I agree that is one. If you're going to play that's why I was surprised to see the Arcanologist get dropped that quick.
Right.
Because if you ever considering the potion, consider it then. You know, don't just snap an Arcanologist, because now it can just be hero powered. It can just be racked. Right. And yeah, that just opened up a bit of a waste there. Although it was Wrath for 3, Orange doesn't want to Fatigue.
Yeah, and Orange is going to be pressing hero power every possible turn he can here, just to make sure he stays hovering outside the range of that Pyroblast that might be remaining. But still, if we've tracked this right, there's 1 Glyph remaining, right?
I believe so,
he
yeah.
He glyphed into, what, the Shatter? Yeah, there it is.
There you go.
He glyphed into the Shatter that killed the Auctioneer.
What?
He picks up damage from the Fireball.
And there could be Pyro.
He's just going to sink it.
You have to. You have to. 100%.
How many cards are left in Den's deck? 2.
Woohoo!
Oh, wow.
If there's Pyro in the deck, there's literally a 50-50 chance.
If there's Pyro, he wins, right? Like
yeah, for him to win, that's what I mean.
I mean, he just has the turns. He has second Ice Block here. Yep. This is all going to come down. The drama of a hidden deck list tournament. It's going to come down to this Pyroblast. Look at Den's face. He knows. There is a Pyro in this deck.
I think he's got it.
Almost out of cards. There's the Acolyte of Pain. So Ice Block gives him that 1 turn remaining he needs. This works out perfectly. He doesn't take the hit of Fatigue. So if that last card is the Pyroblast that we're theorizing, this game is over.
Wow. What a game.
Amazing.
What a game, actually. Den's just laughing. I'm guessing because he's laughing, he's feeling good about this.
He knows. He knows. Yeah. This is a Pyroblast or a Fireball that we've forgotten, but I'm pretty sure both
It feels weird to not run Pyro. Yeah, there we go. I would have been genuinely shocked, because it's one of those like, ooh, hipster, he doesn't run Pyro. I'm like, no, ooh, feels bad. I think that's wrong. But Orange takes a loss with his Jade Druid, and now you've got to think, maybe the rest of this series is a bit of an uphill climb now that Jade Druid's gone. Den having a good win, though, versus Orange, going up against the DreamHack Summer champion, getting that 1-0 start and being able to play that mage again. You know, probably a deck he's very, very comfortable with. And
just to come back to that, there were some real moments of great play in that game. The Auctioneer setup from Orange and then the response with the double Doomsayer from Den that I talked about were both beautiful. And some people might be saying, oh, well, you know, it came down to Glyph RNG in the end, right? Because he got that fireball that he needed. But if you then factor in the ticks of fatigue that Orange actually took at the time.
Yeah, he could have got there anyway.
He needed 1 damage, right? So any source of damage from that Glyph would have done the job, which is actually 43% to pick up any form of damage. That doesn't even include greater arcane missiles or arcane missiles. That's just damage that you can point at the face. So he was above 50-50 from that Glyph to pick up the damage that he needs when you factor in the 2 missile cards as well.
I do wonder if the face tank move would have gained Orange enough damage to push the blocks way earlier. Because he could have got a face hit in. Because he didn't hit at all that turn, right?
He wouldn't have procced on that turn, though, right? So he wouldn't have changed the clock. Because his minions...
Did he proc the turn after, though?
His minions were like 10-10s and whatever. So as soon as a board was able to attack, he was going to beat the block, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Okay.
It is worth thinking about, though. I'm not sold that you're wrong on that. We'd have to go back and evaluate it.
But let's go to this game since we've started off now.
That game was really interesting.
It was kind of great. But now Orange is going to be moving over to his Paladin, and I believe we saw like very control heavy stuff. And Orange actually played some pretty control Paladin in DreamHack Summer and won with it. So not too much of a surprise to see it again.
Den has a beautiful start here with the hybrid mage, though. Double Arcanologist and the Acolyte of Pain, about as good as it gets in terms of thinning out your deck effectively. These Arcanologists really just filling the gap that awkward loot hoarders and novice engineers really used to have in this kind of deck, where you just lost so much board presence early to cycle your deck. Now you have Arcanologists, which, you know, draw you a narrower range of cards. They don't hit you the Frost Nova Doomsayer combo, for example. They do thin your deck to get you there a little bit more consistently. But the big deal is that this deck is now capable of just dominating the board early, which feels a little bit unfair sometimes for like a freeze mage style deck to also be able to do that.
It makes your bad matchups a little bit better, just being able to actually even contest on board. At the moment, though, this True Silver's got a couple of targets. But still, all the damage that goes in from Den feels extra when they're Arcanologists, doesn't it? Like, it feels like it's damage you shouldn't really be allowed, but you get, so it's awesome.
Look at him, just sending all that damage downtown. This is one of the big weaknesses of a Control Paladin style deck, is that they have no way to leverage their existing minions. It's very much like Jade Druid in that regard. Until they get to Spike Ridge Steed, there's nothing that can punish you for leaving a minion in play. Yeah. Jade Druid only really has Earthen Scales, which isn't really a big impactful thing. So I think one of the things that like mediocre players make the mistake of too much is against these 2 decks in particular, Control Paladin and Jade Druid, they take even trades too much, right? Like, you can just push face, and that trade is going to happen because they have no way to buff their minion. There's no Flame Tongue Totem, there's no Blessing of Kings, there's none of these things that end up being a huge punish for you to do that. Den recognizes that where the place is and just sends the Arcanologist straight downtown.
Yeah, nothing too fancy here from Den. I did wonder whether he was going to Acolyte self-ping.
He'd overdraw, right?
Oh, he would, yeah, that's a good point. Just because it sets you up in a cool position on the board that, well, the 1-1 can't trade into it because you get extra draws, but then a True Silver going into a 1-2 Acolyte is kind of a win anyway. Right. But yeah, he's drawn so many cards this turn.
Like, at that point, Orange would end up burning like 3 cards from Den. You just go, all right, sick, my 1-1 will just go into your Acolyte of Pain, that's fine.
Ah, debated.
That would be a very debatable play indeed.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, so Secret going up there for Orange. Was Getaway Kodo, right? I looked away for a second.
I was too busy giving you the babbling book. I just made a joke face, so I wasn't paying attention, going to be honest.
It's definitely a Paladin Secret.
Babbling book does look like Nimch telling a bad joke, though.
Being very happy about telling a bad joke.
Yeah. Just made the world's worst pun. He's just turned to look at you like,
hey. Yeah. Look at this hand from Orange. Curator is just going to be nuts. And then all the big power plays from Paladin.
Yeah, crucially, left-hand side of the hand, Light Lord and Forbidden Healing. Yeah. Those are the 2 big power cards in this kind of matchup. Lay on Hands is not a card that gets run too often, but that used to be the backbreaker against Freeze Mage style strategies, because if you drew Lay on Hands, you got that big 8 healing that you needed, but then crucially you drew 3 more cards. So you would then find your next healing card that you needed to support that as well by cycling off the Lay on Hands. So already, since that cycle isn't in place in this deck, as again, Lothar was bringing attention to in the opening, Like, control deck strategies have kind of changed. They don't really draw that many cards anymore. So since they don't draw that many cards, it can make very crucial swingy cards like Forbidden Healing less impactful in these kinds of matchups. So Orange having them early in the opening hand is actually a very big deal.
Yeah, I forgot that Curator was from Stonehill as well. So there's still another Curator in the deck, more than likely. And Den's got a whole lot of stuff. I feel nothing.
You still felt the need to hedge on whether there is a Curator in Orange's control.
Don't want to give away information about decks, right?
I mean,
hidden deck list.
I mean, we don't know. It's just that would be insanity if it wasn't there.
Maybe Orange is feeling a little bit insane nowadays.
I mean, he hasn't styled his hair this morning. That alone is insane.
Is it even orange? Is it an imposter?
Look at this.
Is it powder with a wig?
To the face. I love this. This is the Reno-style strategy of beating Control Paladin. You're just sending damage to face. You're trying to float them at an awkward health total where they're scared of some, like, glyph card plus burn combination coming out and, like, breaking the rules of the 15 damage you should be able to do. And then you try and make them use Rag Lightlord or Forbidden Healing, and then you Alexstrasza them back down to get full value then out of your Alex.
Yeah, now Den's gone halfway in between of actually just setting up a Blizzard next turn as well. Blizzard, if that secret is Getaway Kodo, will actually bounce the Hydrologist back as well, so not really the end of the world, although something to consider that Eye for an Eye is actually a bit of a problem for Mage to deal with a lot of the time if the Paladin pushes them that far.
Orange just trading evenly with 2/3s, just slamming a 4/2 into the board to make sure there are no injured minions in play, guaranteeing this Rag Lightlord heal to face. And I think crucially, this is great from Orange because he knows there is no glyph card in hand right now. And now rewind to the previous game where he saw 29 out of Den's 30 cards and could have accounted for a second Acolyte being the missing card that he didn't see. So therefore he knows there is no Meteor in Den's deck, right? Yeah. And if you are not hitting Rag Lightlord with Meteor, there is no efficient way to deal with an 8/8 that just healed the opponent.
Also as well, this is nice because one, the positioning around Meteor, but also, if you meter in, you have to hit Rag, which means the... although both minions die, the Meteor kills the minion first, right? So if it was a Getaway Kodo, Rag would come back.
Good question. What does the card say? Does it say deal 15 damage, then 3 damage to the minions on either side?
Pass. Don't know.
That would be important.
But that feels like the way it works, because the splash damage is what kills the Hydrologist, not the targeted kill that minion.
I actually don't know, and I'm not going to guess.
Okay, I'm going to guess, I think. Nah, I'll get it wrong no matter what I guess. Maybe it's a good way to find out what's right. It's just the opposite of whatever I guess. And now, like, again, the cards in hand for Den, they're all right, but it's just a lot of stall. But what are you stalling for? You need to kill Rag. You need to, you know, bait out these heals. Stall's not going to get there. This isn't, you know, you're not playing against Rogue. You're not playing against, you know, anything that stalling's going to get you to that damage permanence. Or if you're against a class that has damage permanence, it's Paladin. Just going to heal it up. Oh, this is nice. This is fancy. He's putting everything on full health, including himself, that the Rag will heal itself after the trade.
He could have done it the other way round as well. You could have gone into the Medivh with his face and then the 2 minions and gone to face with Rag. It would have pushed 1 more damage, but he loses 2 minions in play for pretty much no reason. So this way of doing it is much, much better. It's great understanding of the Ragnaros mechanics here and just manipulating them as best he can. As long as that Rag sticks around on board, that is a persistent threat that needs answering. Again, just to frame this properly, the reason this Rag Lightlord was played so early from Orange is that he understands from the information he got from the last game that there is no Meteor in Den's deck, almost certainly, which means actual burn has to get thrown at this Rag Lightlord.
And that just means Rag's procced again, as far as Orange is concerned, right? You know, if you eat, you know, Fireball, Frostbolt, then great, Rag's healed for an additional 9. Great. Now it's just, yeah, sure.
Sergeant Sally.
I know a girl called Sally that kind of looks like that character.
Really? With like giant flowing pink hair?
It's kind of red, isn't it?
Looks pink to me.
It's reddy pink.
You're reddy pink.
Rink.
Rink?
Or Ped.
I like Ped.
Ped's okay. It's kind of like those shoes. What was the shoe make that pod that's read the same both ways? What's that called? When a word can be read backwards and forwards.
Palindrome?
Yeah. I'm sure it was pod. Lorinda will know. They were out when he was young.
Well, pod would actually be more like an ambigram, right? Which is a thing that you can actually... It's like script that you can rotate and it still reads the same.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sure.
Anyway, Hearthstone.
I like our word discussions, actually. A pandigram. Is that what you said?
Ambigram.
Ambigram. Yeah. Just making a pandagram. It's a message sent by a panda.
Yeah.
Okay, well, Blizzard, again, is just going to stall this out, but... what Blizzard does over Frostnova is it damages other minions, which means Rag isn't as consistent.
Correct.
But Tyrion, Rag, now Hydrologist can just come down again. And again. Now there's one on the board and one in the hand.
Crucially, that gives Orange just another role for another getaway Kodo that can get him his Rag Lightlord back potentially, or just another Eye for an Eye, which can set up really strange win conditions for him through the ice block, so he doesn't really have to worry about an offensive strategy. Like, Hydrologist is actually a really, really powerful card in the matchup for Orange.
Hydrologist in the hand is worth 2 on the board.
Is that true?
Yeah, because you get an additional secret's probably better than the minion.
All right, checks out.
Thanks. 2 Sunkeeper Tarims in hand. Not that this is really a matchup. This is normally a matchup where you've hero pad a few times, play Tarim, and then, you know, that extra damage as opposed to a board control tool.
Yeah. Crucially now, this Doomsayer can go off. Den has actually done this very nicely. He could have gone for Frostnova Doomsayer earlier, but he knew he would have been vulnerable to Stampeding Kodo. On the turn where he went Mana Worm, something Frostnova, and got the Sergeant Sally, he could have gone Doomsayer that turn, but he saw a Curator get played, so he almost certainly knows there's a Stampeding Kodo in hand. Yeah. So he actually developed some 2-attack minions beforehand. Oh!
Whiff.
So he developed some smaller minions beforehand so that in his mind there were hopefully some 2-attack minions remaining on the board afterwards.
Ooh. So Redemptions means that Ragnaros is going to come back.
Gets an 8-1 Lightlord back.
Yeah, if he even wants to play it, though. If that was Getaway Kodo, oh my lord. So for those of you who don't know, Doomsayer goes off on your opponent's turn, which means secrets go off, which means a Getaway Kodo would mean Ragnaros bounced back to Orange hand, but he didn't get it. And now Ten's just like,
look at this.
Okay.
Yeah, let's just rewind 6 or 7 turns to where Den was just firing burn at face. Slight diversion for the Ragnaros Lightlord for another 5 or 6 turns. And it's like, all right, dealt with that. Back to the burn plan.
Honestly, playing Firelands Portal with a Atiyesh down is one of the most powerful turns you can do.
It's huge, yeah.
It's insane.
Do you know what it reminds me of is the Inkmaster Solia Firelands Portal, Inkmaster Solia 10-mana Kazaka's Potion, just like in terms of overall power level.
Yeah, it's kind of nutty. Now, Orange needs to piece together a way to clear this board, doesn't? Oh, that is equality in the far left.
Yep.
So you know what? Equality Drake go.
Quality Drake starts slapping with that Ashbringer. Looks good to me.
Yeah. Quality Drake is nuts.
It's like, guys, do you like Pyromancer Equality combo? Now, bear with me here, but what if your Pyromancer didn't die, but was instead a 4/8?
Dragon with Taunt.
Yeah.
Imagine if the Drake actually was clear your opponent's side, clear the board like a Deathwing effect, but it was 10 mana.
Those are some sick glyphs, by the way, for Den. Picks up a secondary fireball to the one in hand, giving him now, what, 6, 12, 18 total damage, plus pings, plus the Pyroblast, 28 total, plus an Arcane Intellect to go digging now for the second Firelands Portal, I believe he still has left.
Alexstrasza.
Alexstrasza as well.
Because he needs to, like, draw Alexstrasza, play Pyroblast, get him to heal, play Alexstrasza, then kill him. That is like a 4 or 5 turn setup. And hope you don't die in between.
He also does have to consider the implication of Forbidden Healing as well, because this game has stretched on a long time. There is another Fireball and a Firelands. So much damage here. So if you put Orange to, what, 15 in this position, which is the max you can do. Oh, you can do 18 with the fireball. So if you get orange down to 18, which is 7 more damage, and then he heals for 12 with the forbidden healing to get himself out of range. So you have to do 37 total damage from this position after spending 7, and you have, what, 18, 21, 24, 34, 39 damage. So you can beat forbidden healing from this point if you set it up properly,
I wonder,
just with the burn that you have in hand.
Is next turn, like, Frostbolt, Ping, ever worth? Maybe well, not less now.
You have to threaten, you have to get orange to 18, because that's what you can do with your 3 fireballs.
Look at this. So,
you just go Frostbolt Ping.
And the thing is that enough to warrant forbidden healing?
This is what, when I did that calculation that you may not have followed, I don't like this.
No, go to a minion. Well, it doesn't matter because he needs to ping.
I don't like casting it at all. You don't need to. It's superfluous right now.
Yeah. I love this. I think, you know what you could do as well? Even just Frostbolt another minion. You need to make it look like you don't want to take the 5 from the Ashbringer. Right? That's what you want to say.
Yeah.
You say, I don't want to take 5 from the Ashbringer. I want to remove another minion because you might proc me. And then just kill him next turn. What are the odds on orange forbidden healing on 18? And if he does, you still have Alex.
I tell you what, this whole sequence of movements from Den might be a bluff, trying to make orange think he doesn't have 18 damage on the following turn, because orange is watching him point. No, never mind. I don't understand this Firelands.
I don't like the Firelands.
I don't really get what it's doing.
The minion never gets through the 2 taunts well. And the ping, it genuinely could look like, well, why would I ping a random minion? So I'll just ping face. You could Frostbolt the 3/3 and say, well, now I only take 6. Because with 9 damage, you can think, oh, is there a chance I take 6? Is there something else? Can the Zoth come down? So on, so on, so on. But I don't know. Now orange is always going to forbidden healing after that. Always. Frostbolt Firelands face? Definitely.
It does still have 30 in hand from this point, is an important point. So Den might have just been looking at it the other way around. I mean, from my immediate go-to perspective, he's just wasted damage preemptively there because the ping to face was enough to set himself up for lethal and force the forbidden healing anyway. It gave him the potential surprise factor where orange wouldn't play around 18 being a number. And it preserved more damage in hand for the post-forbidden healing. But from Den's perspective, maybe he's just saying, hey, you know what? I've still got, 31 in hand now from this position. So maybe that's just good enough to get the job done. And in the meantime, I can use this minion that I get off Firelands Portal to start contesting the board presence.
Yeah. I don't know. I think if I was orange and someone put me to 18, I would have to sit long and hard and think about whether you forbidden healing.
That's why I wondered about all the Firelands Portal movements being a bluff.
Yeah.
Because you might be trying to say to your opponent, well, if I had 18 in hand, I wouldn't be considering throwing another burn spell at your face, right? So you pick up the card, you point it at the face.
And you're like, maybe not,
no, actually not. Maybe if I ping, that gets me more damage out over a number of turns. And then maybe you can kind of debate your opponent into not throwing out the forbidden healing.
Yeah. So it looks like sequencing here for Den, if you just want to add up blank numbers, is the block needs to be played. So that's 3 mana, there's 7 left. So you could just fireball.
Well, crucially, that's Den's last card. So Ice Block does not, in fact, keep him alive.
He just loses?
So actually, to rewind, what happened is that Den counted the amount of draws that he had left and realized that he needed to fight for board presence over this next couple of turns, right, to keep himself alive for the extra turn that he needed to end the game.
Wow.
So actually, knowing now exactly when Den was going to run out of cards, that his play actually makes sense.
I still would have gone for it. I would have wanted to put orange in that position of saying, you're on 18, all I did was Frostbolt when you had an Ashbringer equipped, plus ping, and then I would have Frostbolted another minion.
Yeah,
I would have full role-played that turn.
I don't think you ever Frostbolt another minion because then you are throwing away potential damage. And crucially, that Frostbolt is the cheap spell that you need, which when you factor in the extra information that you actually have a limited number of turns to live, that Frostbolt's crucial as a 2-mana card that you can squeeze in.
I would have wanted to play it so the orange might not think, well, hang on, 2 Frostbolts are gone, so there's no 15.
That doesn't change anything, though, right? That doesn't change an 18.
No, but even it might make him not heal even more. You know what I mean?
I guess it does. If you use a Frostbolt in that spot, then you can't go Fireball, Fireball, Natural Frostbolt, Frostbolt from Primordial Glyph for 18. So
I don't know. It's what I would have done. I'm not saying it's 100% right,
So,
but I like in those positions really making your opponent think about, like, what do I even have to play around? If I Forbidden Healing now and he has Alex, do I just lose?
Pirate Warrior versus Control Paladin, by the way, but we're not done talking about this yet.
This series, man, is awesome.
I know, it's been really good so far. So when I said that Den's line of thinking made sense, like, I honestly struggled to find a real justification for the Firelands portal at first. But when I say that it makes sense, I'm saying that that's what his thinking was, right? Like, he factored in the number of turns that he needed.
It wasn't mindless.
So he was trying to set himself up for, like, contesting the board presence. I'm not sure if it's right. Again, it's the kind of play that we'd have to kind of study for like 20 minutes at a time and really work it out.
Whereas plays you don't have to study for 20 minutes is this Pirate Warrior opening.
Oh, come on! Pirate Warrior is a noble deck for gentlemen.
No, I like it. I just mean the strength of this opening means that you've got great plays every turn. You know, there's not too much to consider. And I think even with the way that the hand is looking and this hook equipped, you don't even need to think about Cultist versus Captain too much, in my opinion. I think you just go Captain. It just puts way more power on the board, makes them way more awkward to deal with. Captain effectively adds 3 damage to your next turn and has taunt, more or less.
Yep.
So I like it. You don't need extra 1 hit on 1 attack on your hook. Hand's looking sweet.
Orange gonna go and coin Aldor Peacekeeper here, potentially. Maybe even coin Acolyte. I mean, coin Acolyte makes some sense just to try and fish super hard for the equality that it looks like you might need at this point.
Slamming Pyro?
He's gonna go Pyro instead and just coin to clear out the 1/1s. Okay.
Yeah.
Playing around South Sea Captain at this point.
Now we might see Cultist.
Yeah.
You know, like the board state has changed. Oh my lord. Huh?
Nope.
Oh, sorry, yeah, the Pyro's on 1. What am I talking about? I thought we were going to see Cultist because I was thinking Pyro was a 3-2. But yeah, you can
You're dumb.
I am dumb. But you can just see the hook there. So yeah, this is also just fine. This gives Den an additional turn or so to draw a weapon, which then he does want to combo with.
Yeah.
But also, just have to think about, you know, maybe he's running low on Pirates now. So do you just take the value when you can get it here? Nope.
Well, now we have a plan.
Oh my. Okay.
Okay. Interesting. My only slight concern here is when exactly you intend to kill that Aldor. I guess Den is counting that his clock comes down to before turn 6 at this point. Obviously, you don't want a minion sticking around on the board going into turn 6 because Spike Steed just ends up being backbreaking. But there just wasn't a way to trade that turn, which I'm sure there's people in chat going, why on earth would you trade? You're playing Pirate Warrior. But honestly, with the quality of the minions that he's drawn this game, it could very, very easily have been a trade and dominate the board kind of game. Yeah,
I think in this way, he's set up a very awkward point for Orange where normally you'd want to kill the Captain. So you trade into the Captain, then in Den's view, he has lethal because he has Arcanite Reaper plus 8 damage. So that's exactly 13. Obviously, there's Stonehill that's going to come down, so Orange gets to be able to defend against that.
Because the Raider would lose 1 if the
Oh, that's
does.
True. Yeah, so he's actually 1 off. Maybe I did like the trade, to be honest.
Dumb. No, I'm kidding.
It's going to be a very long day if this keeps up, so.
It's going to be my new catchphrase.
My new catchphrase is, not casting with Soul anymore. And then what would the world think? They'd be very upset.
I know. People would have to just reevaluate their worldview.
Yeah. It would just feel wrong.
Did you see Twitch chat when I like had my dehydration thing and Rob filled in? Like the first comment in Twitch chat was, "Yay, no more bickering."
Brilliant. By the power of friendship.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you remember that when you couldn't be asked casting the last game in China? Okay, well, this is really funny. If you look at this hand from Orange, it's just like Twilight Geomancer, Pompous Thespian, just like any cheap taunt to just throw in the way.
I mean, yeah, he's literally just trying to put slightly irritating walls in the way so that then he can find his way to Primordial Drake. Then maybe Primordial Drake sticks to the board. He can then 9 mana Forbidden Healing behind that if it sticks.
He is like, a lot of turns away from Drake, though.
He's a long way away, especially in the face of this Arcanite Reaper threatening to end the game right here and right now. But Consecration can be paired with Pompous Thespian. That's still not enough to be able to answer the board state. Forbidden Healing would heal for 12, pushing him back up to 14, and there is a lot more than that staring him in the face. So Orange, after running through all those permutations that I just did, says, you know what, Den? You win this one. 2-1. Pirate Warrior picks up the win.
Yeah, and, you know, Pirate Warrior, obviously highly aggressive deck, and a lot of the time the deck is built to draw like that, to be completely honest, you know, and he had 2 Cultists and never played them, and Cultists one of the best cards in the deck. That's how strong that opener was.
Yeah.
And also, you know, we talk about the Paladin. Great control deck, great late game deck, has some great anti-aggro tools, but versus that kind of aggression, like, don't think so.
So the real breaking point there for Orange in terms of a thing he could have done differently is that turn he really agonized over, turn 2, where he ended up just going Pyro, Coin to clear out the 1/1s. He could have coined out Acolyte of Pain to try and dig harder for equality. He never drew equality, so he probably wouldn't have got there in time anyway, but it's a divergent path that he could have gone down, even coining out Stonehill Defender at that point and trying to chain taunts a little bit earlier. Like, there were some things that maybe Orange could have done differently, but the power of the Pirate Warrior draw there, as you said,
insane,
was probably going to be good enough to get through regardless.
I'm going to be very interested, and it is something that, especially with DreamHacks, because it's a big Swiss tournament, is that how lineups end up performing. Because, you know, we see from Dan, Pirate Warrior, probably not the most expected deck in the world. Generally everyone's thinking control is going to be king.
Because of the quest nerf, right?
Yeah. Whereas, you know, maybe that's the reason to play these aggressive decks, although not when you draw patches. So Dan getting the rough end of the stick versus the previous game there. But still, you know, I actually would love to see how strong Pirate Warrior, you know, any other highly aggressive decks are going to end up being in this tournament, because if everyone's expecting control, you build your control decks to beat control, which means they get greedier and greedier.
Speaking of greed, Den here opting potentially not to kill a Mana Worm in order to set himself up for a Blood Cell Cultist on the following turn, buffing up this Fiery War Axe and getting more value, which, don't get me wrong, upgrading Fiery War Axe is pretty much how you win this matchup single-handedly, because you kill Mana Worms, Arcanologists, Medivh's Valets, Kirin Tor Mages. You kill every minion in the deck apart from Cabal Crystal Runner, pretty much, with a Fiery War Axe. But it's a little bit risky. You know, if a Frostbolt is coming out, it's Frostbolting the 5/3 here, so all you do is take a little bit of extra damage, and then you can Fiery War Axe the Mana Worm on the following turn. So maybe, like, when the downside of the play is that low, maybe it's worth going for.
He's just going to wait.
The other tentacled elephant in the room right now is that Patches the Pirate was drawn on the turn where Den was about to play his first Pirate of the game, which is the most tilting experience in Hearthstone.
The most?
Yes.
I don't know, turn 1, 10-10 Van Cleef tilts me.
Nah, that's just, I mean, that's so unlikely that it's comical, right? Like, you just laugh at it and you move on.
Nope.
All right.
I just die and then I move on. Still these draws, minus the patches, of course, not too horrendous here. Den can finally get the upgraded War Axe in. He's not even in a bad position.
Yeah, and
considering how much of a mess that opening was for him, he's looking pretty good.
The Infinite War Axe plan and the weapon management here has been perfect. He took extra damage from a Mana Worm for a couple of turns to get to the point where he could chain Patches Cultist into Greenskin and just always have this upgraded Fiery War Axe equipped. This is something, when we were at the Wild Open recently, I was watching Control playing a lot of Pirate Warrior in Wild, just on ladder, preparing. And his weapon management with that deck in Wild is insane when you, like, factor in Death Spite as well.
Yeah.
You have to consider, like, what turn you want the Death Rattle to go off. Like, deciding which turns you swing on and don't, like, also weighing that up against a lot of the time you're just leaving a minion alive just to hang around on the board because you want to hold on to a War Axe. It's actually one of the toughest things to navigate with Pirate Warrior, and I think Den has done it very, very nicely.
I agree, and especially that this has not been natural plays.
No,
you know,
he just left the Mana Worm.
Yeah, exactly, and opened himself up to Frostbolt punish.
Yep.
And you know, definitely not natural. This Blizzard from the Babbling Book is going to get the work done though for Orange, because, as I was about to say, Den is kind of just running away with this game at this point. This Infinite War Axe is looking pretty awesome. You know, even just hero power now, like whatever, because the Corcoran just opens up additional damage. And yes, Orange Blizzard stalled. Needs another 3 Blizzards. And maybe he gets there. Meteor, okay.
Meteor clears.
Yeah. As too many people, in my opinion, use. It'll get him there. Or we'll get there.
You're getting triggered
It'll
by
get us
Hearthstone
there.
cliches?
I get... One thing that kind of frustrates me
Ooh,
is the whole we thing. Yeah, we really should have done this. Well, there's only one player playing the game at the moment, so he probably should have really done that. Or she, of course. Now we see the good old silence on the babbling book, common play.
Yep.
Just want to shut him up.
I mean,
he looks like he's just telling terrible jokes.
Yeah, if Nimsh is going to keep telling bad jokes, you just got to slam that Spellbreaker on there.
That's what's funny about Spellbreaker and Pirate Warrior, right? Is that a 4-mana 4/3 really isn't horrendous to play.
It's pretty bad.
It's shaped in the right way, though, right?
But
it's not like playing an Eater of Secrets in a Pirate Warrior
is
deck.
shaped in the right way, but it's also shaped in a very clear direction.
You already played 2, though.
Yeah.
It's not like you sacrificed a Corcoran.
Right. But like,
I just mean if it was, like a 4-mana 2/4 like Eater of Secrets, then that's really bad. If you have to drop that tech card and not hit anything with it.
If it wasn't for Primordial Drake and Spikeridge Steed in the meta, there's like 20 other minions I'd rather play than Spellbreaker.
Oh, I agree. Yeah. I agree. Heroic Strike.
What did you just give? Oh, Heroic Strike.
Yeah.
Sure.
Damn, that Blizzard off book plus Meteor.
Yeah.
Really helped Orange out this game. Den might just not get there unless he rips a Reaper off the top.
Orange's hand is pretty dead, though. He's snapped whatever that draw was. Like,
which is huge. Yeah. Means he keeps the board present. So now, as the Pirate Warrior from Den, you have pretty much said, I have to Reaper, and I have to get him quick, and there's probably an Ice Block knocking around. It's like Orange is going to be able to even this up. Huh. Okay. He knows it's Heroic Strike as well. Oh, is that just lethal? Oh.
When you next turn.
Yeah. When you give your opponent a mana bind, and that's bottom right, friend. Then just going to concede there. He just lost the board off the back of that Babbling Book to Blizzard, and then the Meteor from Glyph. Too much to handle. Den's going to be rocking his last deck against Orange's Mage, which is going to be the Druid. But Den does have a, not matchup discussion, but a slight advantage that Den knows a chunk of the cards in Orange's deck.
Yeah.
And Orange has no clue what this Druid is. And you mulligan a little bit differently if it's, aggro versus, well, I say a little bit differently. A lot of the cards are the same. You still want Mana Worm. But but you know what I mean? Your mindset is a little bit different based on, Jade versus aggro, two very different styles of Druid.
Yeah, it's rare with Secret Mage that you look at the Mana Worm, Sorcerer's Apprentice, Primordial Glyph opening, and you're like, well, this could be bad in the other matchup. No, you take
it's good. It's good. Den has a pretty good opening too, though. I think this Feral Rage is very important because the second you leave Apprentice up... Actually, what are you scared of more, Apprentice or Mana Worm? If you're going to leave one,
probably Apprentice
is a nightmare.
Like 2-mana Mirror Entity against Jade Druid would be, like you said, a nightmare. Arcane Intellect coming down can just give them way too many resources. And Primordial Glyph getting discounted is one of the most revolting things in the game.
In a world where Glyph wasn't already strong, we have Sorcerer's Apprentice. I think my trailer voice is any good. I need to work on it. That was just off the top. I didn't really try, but I think it's got potential.
Give it a 5 out of 10.
Okay.
Room for improvement, but yeah, the potential's there.
I'm glad. I want there always to be room for improvement.
Much like your casting.
I think a new joke, Saul. These have all been said before.
That was definitely a new joke.
It wasn't.
It's very old subject matter.
Okay. Thought we had a good time in China. But it's all changed now that we're back on EU turf.
You know what they say? What happens in China stays in China.
No comment on that. Moving on to the actual game of Hearthstone we have in front of us. Now there are options. The coin's going to be used to check for a counterspell. It's going to proc it.
You never play counterspell when there's a coin in hand, Raven.
What does Orange do?
Yeah.
It actually floated. It would have even only really opened up. Oh, it would have opened the wild growth, I guess, if it wasn't counterspell. But still, there's probably better turns to coin into. Reach it again for Orange. Gonna be really nice.
Yeah, serious point. I think Orange was just like fine with playing counterspell there because even if it was coined to beat it, which as I explained in game 1, like it doesn't actually always happen. It was still blocking coin IL.
An open crystal runner.
Yeah, right, exactly.
That's the thing, like, you know, you have cards that get cheaper if you play secrets. You're going to be like, well, this is not the optimal time for a secret.
Right.
So now I'm going to sit with this, you know, 6 mana 5/5 in hand for no reason.
Yep.
Now he can actually play a secret and the runner.
A real-life mana bind, Raven.
I always knew I liked orange. Do you remember how much I love mana bind when it got announced?
Yeah, you said the card was going to be nuts.
Yeah, I genuinely thought it was.
You're dumb.
This is not the good way to start the start of DreamHack Valencia.
I'm sorry. It's hot. It's making me a bit delirious. I apologize.
So delirious means you talk about things that you think are right, but in fact wrong. So I am in fact not dumb. Yeah. Double secrets can be played now. I do like double secret this turn, actually. Oh, Firelands is tempting.
Firelands is very tempting.
It's like double secret when, you know, your opponent has probably no clue what those secrets are at this point because they've seen book, you know, they've seen glyph. Then, you know, it could be really wonky for Den to deal with. And if he wants to go, like, you know, swipe into hero power to deal with a 5/5, that is actually going to get soaked by the Spellbender.
Yep.
Oh, Servant of Kalimos.
Card that we might see a little bit more of later on,
maybe.
depending on people's deck building
If
decisions.
only Mage could play Jades.
Yeah.
That'd actually be a sick deck with Pyros and stuff.
If anyone didn't see my tweet, if you're curious about the Servant of Kalimos thing, as long as I've done the maths right, which I'm pretty confident about, you are 53% to get Jade Spirit in Druid and Rogue now of Servant of Kalimos and 20% for Shaman, which is kind of frustrating because the Jade Spirit Servant of Kalimos thing is most a natural fit in Shaman, but it's the most unlikely
because there's the most elementals, yeah. Actually, when I talked about the elemental change for Jade Spirit being a big deal, I got told it wouldn't make much difference in elemental Shaman. I was like, oh, interesting.
Who told you that?
Nobody.
Okay.
As in, no one we know.
Okay.
Oh, I do like getting the mana bind down. Although, what are you expecting on 10? Almost anything, I guess.
I mean, do you want to play a mana bind or do you want to draw 2 cards? That's my question. Actually,
I don't know.
I mean, you could
draw later and have more mana spare.
Next turn,
yeah, you'd have more mana spare to actually do something with the draws, right?
Yeah.
Because if you're always just playing the Crystal Runner, would you not rather get mana bind down, Crystal Runner, and pink?
Sure.
How big are the Jades actually for Den? There we go, 5/5. Okay, very good memory skills there, Sol.
Thanks.
Ooh, okay.
Crucially, Orange is keeping tempo here, and the first Arcane Intellect hit into a second Arcane Intellect. I don't know whether the reason Orange isn't playing Mana Bind here is that he recognizes that he's actually quite low on resources right now and like in danger of getting ground out by Den, and he's trying to line potentially that up against a Nourish turn from Den, just to try and get himself those extra resources that he might need. That would be very, very ambitious if it was the case. But it is looking like Den might just turn the corner here in terms of locking this game out.
Yeah, there was even an option there where actually just the whole turn could have been played as it was played, except the 2/3 bursts from the Valet could have gone on the 5/5, and then the Crystal Runner and Ping goes onto the 3/6. I guess that does open you up quite significant, or open the Crystal Runner up to a volcanic, Primordial Drake though. So I guess there's a reason just getting the damage in.
This turn's going badly for Den. It's not
he
quite
played the
working
other.
out as intended.
Okay. Working as unintended.
7 damage. Fireball is lethal. Oh, Antonidas with 0 mana, Earthen Scales, and the Arcane Intellect. That is a reason, by the way, to go ahead and Arcane Intellect on the previous turn, because you actually have those expensive cards like Antonidas that you can then hit on a following turn and try and tempo out with. But that looks like it is very much going to lock
Crystal
up this
Runner
game.
too.
Another 0 mana 5/5.
Yeah, he wants to just clear the board here, leave Antonidas on its own.
Yeah, how does it die?
No, that's what I'm saying, yeah. The Earthen Scales might look a little bit wonky on the Spellbender, but it just opened up a good trade. Crystal Runner there. Escape Concede. Orange pulls it back and takes the series. You know, kind of a little bit surprising. Orange was in some very tough spots throughout that whole series, but what I will say is, if that's the way all these series are going to go today, I'm happy to cast a lot of Hearthstone.
It was a super interesting series, and just recapping what we saw as a whole, I think nice for Orange to pick up the win, because I said we had 2 defending DreamHack champions coming up here. Obviously, Evangelion went down. Orange was able to just fight his way through with a scrappy 3-2 victory. But yeah, those games were awesome. Like, each game was starting and we still wanted to talk about the last one for like 10 minutes more, right? So those are the kind of Hearthstone games that we want to watch day in, day out, and hopefully with the Quest Rogue nerf really shaking up the metagame, that's the kind of thing that we're going to see for the rest of the day.
Yeah, hope so. Do you enjoy that one, Lothar?
Yeah, actually it was awesome. Like, first of all, as you pointed out, 2 champions in the first round that we can witness play it out, right? It sets up a storyline, how we perceive this tournament and the previous editions, right? Because this is the 9th tournament, the Grand Prix, of course, at DreamHack, so it's pretty cool to see 2 champions already. But even though Evangelion lost the first round, it's still not the end of the world, because we are playing in a Swiss format, right? So in this example, like, he can still go into the top 16 with just winning every single next round and go 8-1 or something ridiculous like that, right? So it's not the end of the world, but it puts him on a disadvantage when it comes to the tiebreakers, right? Raven, can you explain it?
Yeah, so basically the way the tiebreakers actually work out is you get matched every round versus someone with the same score and a close tiebreak, and your tiebreaker is effectively off how good the opponents you've played have performed in Swiss. So if you take a loss round 1, it means that your opponents are always going to be, progressively worse, because you then matched against in round 2 someone else who's lost. And because they've also lost, even if you beat them, you won't gain as many tiebreaker points as if you beat someone who'd won instead. So by the end of the tournament, playing against people who've lost multiple matches or even an early match means that your tiebreaker is going to just inherently be lower than someone who's gone 6-0, then they lose one match. So
yeah,
it can be a very tough hill to climb for Evangelion this tournament.
Yeah, like TLDR version, a round 1 loss is the worst possible type of loss you can have, right? That's as bad as it gets. Means Evangelion's job is as hard as it possibly could be if he is going to end up going 9-1 through the tournament.
Yeah, that is true. But at the same time, we have an entire day to play. And one thing that people kind of forget, though, is the fact that, exhaustion is actually a huge factor. Especially in this weather. We have air conditioning here, of course, but in Spain, it's like 40 degrees Celsius, and it kind of creeps on people. So after you can imagine the heat. After 7 or 8 hours of playing Hearthstone, or even more, 10 hours of playing Hearthstone in an enclosed space, even with AC, is gonna be putting your mind on a really hard track.
Also as well, it's not just 10 hours of just playing Hearthstone like you would sit at home and just play. You're watching a stream, listening to music. This
with
is
your
like
air conditioning on.
with window open, fan.
Yeah.
Someone just stood there fanning you.
Yeah.
But no, this is like 10
grapes.
Calm down, Sol. But this is 10 hours of high intensity, right? We just said one loss can have a huge impact in your run. So every single moment of every single game is high pressure and high intensity for these players, which again makes it even harder to stay focused for that length of time.
And particularly if the games continue like what we've just been seeing, those were some long games with some real intricate decision making. There were 8 or 9 card hands going down at all times. The games were stretching out to 15, 20 minutes apiece, and players really had full mental processing going on at all times, which just ups the exhaustion factor even more.
So you're saying that those games had really a lot of decisions to be made. Well, I think I wonder what Colento would say about that, right?
It's easy.
It's easy. Okay.
Hearthstone's easy, guys.
I mean, it's literally my favorite metagame for a very long time.
Yeah.
All the decks have a lot of decisions to be made. Of course, there are some decks that are more curve, let's say. Like Jade Druid is essentially an easier deck to play than some other decks, but still, even the easiest deck in the metagame are still very intricate to play, and there are some small decisions that are making a huge difference, especially in a last hero standing format, when not only the game being played is a factor, but also the way you queue up your decks, the ban strategy, the deck building process, right?
Yes.
So an example, people kind of tend to forget that when you want to play in a last hero standing format, the biggest aspect of this tournament is preparation, is the entire lineup that you build, is the ban that you plan that actually influences the way you build your decks, because you can, the simplest example, weapon hate or no weapon hate, right? You can just ban a class that uses weapons and just completely abandon any hate cards, right? That is changing your decks.
Also, as well, it gets very difficult in hidden list formats, because the way you normally build a lineup, you have your classes and your archetypes. What are they strong? What are they weak against? And then you go, okay, where's my big weakness? That's going to be my ban, straightforward. Say it's warrior. Well, you don't know what warrior your opponent's playing, so suddenly it's like, well, without, scouting information comes in later, but early on, without knowing, it's very difficult. And then what if they don't have warrior? Then what's ban number 2? Like, what do you go to then? And the ban being wrong can make such an impact. We saw at HCT, slightly different format, but Nyria played Muzzy twice. He lost the first time, then the second time he changed his ban strategy and Muzzy didn't, and Nyria won. Yeah. And got a spot, and it really is that important.
Yeah, it's why you'll see, I think, a lot of ban shaman or ban mage kind of strategies coming into this tournament, because it's something that you can lay as your baseline. Shaman is, for the most part, going to be evolve shaman. Yeah. Mage is going to be a variety of different things, but they do similar things throughout.
At the moment, it's going to be mage.
Yeah, especially as the decks are kind of being mashed together, right?
Exactly.
People are experimenting with unstable mage decks, but. Yeah. It means that you can actually lay out a strategy, and then as you start to gain more information throughout the tournament, as your practice group is gathering information for you, you're talking to a friend, you played this guy in round 1, what did he have, etc. Then you can start to flex your ban and react to what you're seeing and your information gathering.
It's very similar to other card games that are being played out, in real life, when you have people just scouting the entire area, is like writing notes. Oh, this guy's playing those decks, this guy's playing those decks, and then. Sharing those.
Yeah, they actually, a lot of tactics actually bring extra people just to scout. In certain groups of teams actually bring people just to walk around and scout decks. Like, that's literally it. But that's allowed or not, I'm not actually sure.
Just got an image of like a shady-looking guy in a trench coat and like a pulled-down hat. Just looking around.
No.
With a newspaper and just upside down.
We just like pulls it down. It's just like fake glasses and a nose, and they're just like.
So this guy's
paper goes back up. Yeah.
Just walks up with innocence like, "Greetings, fellow Hearthstone player. What secrets are you playing in your mage deck?"
Like,
I'm totally not playing in this tournament.
Yeah, and then the wink is like, no, you're not supposed to wink at the person you're trying to deceive.
Oh,
You're like, that doesn't quite work.
Anyway, this is the end of Swiss round 1. And it will be a long day, a lot of matches ahead of us. So don't go anywhere. We'll be back as soon as possible with Swiss round number 2 here at Valencia.